Hello, 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 YouTube. Welcome back to Real Therapy 101 with your girl, Ebony Campbell. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us this week as we tap into Self-Care 101. And before we can begin to have any type of conversation about self-care, we have to learn how to love ourselves again. We have to learn what it looks like to know that we're actually taking care of ourselves. And so, we've had a very impactful week, very good week where we've been using songs, memories, movies, storybooks, just our imagination at points to have these real conversations about the things that we go through and how to get through them in a healthy way so that we do not cause ourselves to be stuck with our mental health and not be able, if we're stuck in our mental health, then we're not able to take care of our physical health. And if you're not able to take care of yourself mentally and physically, then you will start degrading spiritually, financially, and all the other leads that we can think of that make up our well-being. So, as we continue to go through our uncharted waters in the world of self-care, let's get right into it. You guys already know we have our shirt for the day, our kicks for the day, and our bag for the day. So, and we have a little special treat with our bag for the day, by the way. Today's custom-made shirt says, "You are more than enough." Then you have your Real Talk Therapy 101. So we know that going back into or tapping back into our past to be able to move forward in our present and to be able to look towards our future, sometimes we have to rewrite our script and rewrite how we would do things and how we've done things and do things a little differently so that it's more beneficial this time around than it had been in the past. So before we get into our good old conversation today, let me introduce you guys to our bag of the day. So our bag of the day is gonna need a close-up all in itself. As you can see, you have the plush backpack attached to, yes, the Coach travel bag. Hoping you guys can see that pretty good. And we are rocking our pink, Easter pink is what I like to call them, Vapor Max today. And yes, for some of you guys that are trying to speculate and wonder about the entire fit, yes, your girl has on a skirt today. Don't get it twisted. I can come through. I can be versatile. Even though I'm a sneakerhead, I still come through in ways that you couldn't imagine and make the style my own. Because remember, originality is key in everything that we do. And so the fashion world is what it is. My fashion world is what I want it to be. So, yep, I almost just knocked over my stand. Y'all know Real Talk Therapy. I don't edit and take nothing out. It's going to get as real as it's going to get on here. So, moving along with our conversation about self-care, self-love, today we are going to take a look at good old Webster, the definition of the word enough. And I use Webster because Webster is who I grew up with. Now, all this other stuff, all these other people that's trying to come up with definitions and come up with things and ways of words and making them be whatever they want them to be, I still refer back to Webster. Now, you have the autonomy and the right, I want you to exercise it, to use the definition of your choosing. But on Real Talk Therapy, we're going to look at it from Webster's way. And the word enough is defined as much or as many as required. There's too much work and not enough people to do it is the example when it's a determiner. If it's used as a pronoun, as much or as many of something as required. You need to get enough of the right things to eat. Well, how much is enough? You know, what is enough? As an adverb, it says, at the time he wasn't old enough to vote. So as an adverb, you have to reach a certain criteria or reach a certain level, or in this case, you have to be old enough to do something. But we want to take it back in the terms of you need to get enough of the right things to eat. So we're using it and looking at it today as a pronoun. And with that, it's in or to a degree or quantity that satisfies and that is sufficient or necessary for satisfaction. So now, in your world, you have to decide if you're enough for the position that you hold, the titles that you carry, the relationships that you're in, the friendships that you're in, because if who I am and what I can give is not enough for you, then we got to rethink this thing. Because I am more than enough. I come with more than enough to satisfy my end of the bargain. And if that's how you rock, and if that's how you come, then you need to stand on it. You have to be able to say, this is who I am, this is what I come with, and this is what I require because I'm more than enough. You know, when people ask, okay, y'all, thought I had a little something going on in there. All right, got no tissue in here, but at any rate, I don't see nothing, I don't think it's nothing, so we're going to keep on talking. If you are in a friendship and your friend wants you to do A through F for them in order for them to know that you're their friend, but your friend is only going to do A, B, and C, now you're more than enough in this friendship, and what are you receiving in return? So sometimes you have to look at things with how much am I giving and how much am I receiving? And a lot of times we get it twisted because we look at it from a level of how we would do things, but we don't always see what's being given back to us. So remember, I told you guys, people aren't going to do things the way that you would do them, and you shouldn't expect them to, because we're all different. If I operated on a scale or a level of wanting you to always go to Red Lobster with me, but I don't want to go to Olive Garden with you, what type of friendship or relationship do we really have? Excuse me, y'all, because I don't know what was going on, and it ain't that, but it was feeling like something. And I have seasonal allergies. Sometimes they're worse than others, so I'm suffering with a little bit of that today. But thank y'all for bearing with me, and again, pardon, because that was completely unorthodox, but I'm real with it. So in this conversation, when you start weighing the pros and the cons, in order to love yourself, you have to know that you're more than enough. You're more than the failed relationship. You're more than the failed friendship. You're more than the job that, you know, didn't see your worth and promote you. You are more than enough in a lot of situations. So we talked about having too much on our plates and not knowing what to do with it when we get there. I know sometimes I'll fix my plate and it's more than enough. My eyes are bigger than my stomach. But you better believe if I don't eat everything that I fix right there, somewhere along the day or the night, I am going to eat the rest of that food. Now, my leftover rule is a grandma leftover rule, and I know everybody don't agree with that. Some of y'all don't even eat leftovers. But baby, my leftover rule is 4 days. After the 4th day, I can't eat it. But the irony of me having a leftover rule, but not having anything that's expired after 1 day, might seem unorthodox to somebody else. But it's a part of my psyche and my process. So the food for 4 days is more than enough for me to eat, but the milk that's a day old, I can't use the milk that's a day old. I don't know why. But it's a part of what I think about, those situations. And for other people, 2-day-old milk, 3-day-old milk is still as good as the first day. I I know some people who don't believe in expiration dates. You got to miss me with that one. Because if them people put an expiration date on there, then it's time to let it go. It's time to let it go. So when you start looking at your definition of enough, or when you find or figure out that you've had enough of something, you have to love yourself enough to vocalize that this is too much. It's been explained to me from this angle. If you feel like it's too much, y'all, I'm so sorry. And I'm not saying this. Okay, I'm leaving it alone. Let's finish this up. It's been explained to me, if something is too much for you, that you should be able to wave the white flag and say that you give up. And I can honestly say there have been times in life where I knew I should have waved the white flag. I had had enough, but I felt like I could handle what it was. And me being the person who I am, I made ways out of no ways when it came to doing certain stuff. And so I presented myself in the fashion of being more than enough. And the people that I was presenting myself to, and the people that I was trying to prove to them that I was more than enough, they could care less because they wanted more. I had to learn how to tap back into and to come back into and say, hey, look, this is all I got to give. And for me, it's more than enough. I didn't just stop performing when I reached your first level. I didn't just stop, being a go-getter when I got to your first place or what have you. When it came down to me, and I forgot an accessory. So this is my Coach portfolio. So when I'm traveling and I have work that I need to drop off and take places, this is my whole ensemble. So when I hand you this portfolio with everything that you've asked me to do, and you reach inside and you see that on the inside, I've done more than enough that you've asked me to do, I need you to appreciate that. And I need to be able to vocalize that. But if I don't tap into myself and tap into who I am and recognize that I, all by myself, am more than enough, I'm never going to learn to be my own cheerleader. Guys, it's cool to have people to advocate for us, but we have to learn how to advocate for ourselves. If we aren't going to learn how to advocate for ourselves, we'll never be able to determine what our true worth is. And we'll never be able to determine what it is that we will stand for and what it is that we will not stand for. We'll never be able to stand up for ourselves. And I don't want you to get to a place of self-love and then have somebody come in like a thief in the night and steal it from you because you don't recognize that you are more than enough in so many cases. There are going to be some times where you just want to be enough. And you got to know when to tap out. And it's okay to tap out. It's okay to say, hey, I can't do this. This isn't working for me. I thought I could, but I can't. It's okay to ask for help. Because you are so much more than enough. And you got to learn to love yourself enough to take up for yourself. Remember, we're learning how to be selfish with our mental health. You can't let these people get on your nerves and work the pure devil out of you. Enough is enough. Go ahead now. But if you never say it, they'll never know it. And they'll continue to treat you as though you're not enough. You're not giving enough. You're not loving enough. You're not here enough. You don't do this enough. You don't do, I'm not making enough money. You're not doing this. Come on, man. I don't went above and beyond for you. And you giving me the same thing every 2 weeks or once a month or whatever the pay schedule is. I done went against the odds for you. I done waved the flag and you ignored it. So now I got to do something about it. And I got to do it in a way that works for me. And you guys remember me telling you that whole cliche that you shouldn't burn bridges? Well, I'm here to tell you once again, that's the biggest lie anybody ever told you. You better set fire to some of them bridges and never look back at them and don't rebuild them. Some bridges have to be burned. Because if not, if you're not strong enough, if you don't recognize that you're more than enough, you're going to go back and try to build a bridge to get back over there where you don't work so hard to get away from it. Leave them people alone. Let them live. Your time is up. And here on Real Talk Therapy, when we talk about your higher power, I'm respectful enough to always recognize that everybody does not have the same spirituality or they're not on the same spiritual journey that I am. So when I talk about my higher power, I encourage you guys to think about your higher power. So don't deter and don't leave me and don't not have a conversation with me because I do refer to Christianity a lot because that's what I know. And a lot of people who know me, they know that I cut the fool. They know that I can be mean when I need to be. I can be stern when I need to be. But one thing about it, when it comes to my relationship with my Christ, with my Lord and Savior, I know that Bible from Genesis to Revelation. I know what's in there. And so I relate it to having these real conversations. And the story of the Israelites is what I think about. They wandered around in wilderness because they didn't want to listen to the one that God had given the 10 commandments to and told them to listen to because he had done so much dirt and they knew all his dirt and they knew all the stuff that he did wrong. So it's like, well, why did God choose him? And we ain't got to listen to him anyway. And it took them forever to get somewhere that only should have took them a small amount of time because they could not recognize that they needed to listen to the one that was least likely to become their leader. He didn't know how to talk good. And that's Moses I'm talking about. Those of you Christians that read the Bible, you know what I'm talking about. Moses couldn't read good. Aaron, his brother, had to go talk for him. But he was chosen. And when they finally came on one accord, when they had gone through all of this hardship, and Moses finally believed in himself enough, and that Red Sea parted. All them dirty Israelites that didn't die off and that, couldn't make it through that other stuff, all of them followed him. Now they followed him. Now they went. Now they were on one accord. You got to get on one accord with yourself because a lot of us are struggling with who we are and who we've allowed other people to convince us that we are. Excuse me. Well, I don't know if y'all heard that burp or not. I'm sorry. I got all kinds of stuff going on today. But it's an internal struggle because the real you gotta come out. The wolf cannot stay in the sheep's clothing. It's impossible. First and foremost, you can't wear the sheep's clothing, wolf. Take that mess off and be who you are. Everybody is not supposed to like you. Everybody is not supposed to love you. Everybody is not supposed to agree with you. Everybody is not supposed to jump on your bandwagon. You're supposed to meet up with opposition so that you can become stronger and recognize the strength that you have within. Gotta go through it to get to it. They want it out. The Israelites, I'm back talking about them. They want it out. And then when they got out, they wanted to go back in. How many of us are like that? You gotta make up your mind. You gotta know who you are. You gotta know what you want. You have to know that you are more than enough. And it don't get no realer than that this week on Real Talk. We got another day. But it don't get no realer than that. Stop fighting with who you are. Be your original, authentic self. And then watch the copycats try to figure out how you got what you got and how you doing what you doing. Watch the copycats start calling you and start wanting to see. And, oh, I heard about you. You know, you're doing this and you're doing that. Oh, well, thank you. Be your authentic self. There is no one else in this world like you. And you have purpose. What you were created to do, nobody else can do it for you. Don't give up on your task. It's going to get tough. Figure out how to make it through those tough days. Tap into your support system. Go around those where you know it's safe. Be with those folks that you know ain't gonna let nothing happen to you. Find your tribe and trust your process. It's worth it. That's real talk. It's worth it. You're worth it. So before we can even begin to talk about self-care, I need you to fall in love with your authentic self. And that means your flaws, your shortcomings, all of that. All of that. Because your purpose was created just for you. You matter. So let's keep talking about this thing. Come back and join me to finish this week out. Get a hold of these strategies, y'all. Write them down. Pencil it out. Please comment, like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Because remember, we're trying to get connected with Coach. Because y'all think I'm playing. Y'all gonna see a couple of these episodes, and your girl gonna have some ass pretty soon, and Coach gonna be one of them. Hey, I'm telling you, let's take this thing where we need to take it. Let's reach out to those people who need it the most. Be a light, because you are. Shine bright like a diamond, like you are. You matter. On so many levels, you matter. And I want you to see that. Because in order for you to practice self-care, you gotta fall in love with who you are. Do it for you. All right. Come on back. Let's finish this thing out. Let's do what we know we need to do. And I thank you so much for stopping by and having this conversation with me. Y'all be easy.